Hello, and welcome to the Book Doctor's YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about
putting together a list
of publishers for your book.
Not all kinds of querying lists. Publishers.
Which I just did for a client today. So querying an agent, we have talked about, it involves research. And guess what? Querying publishers directly also involves research. So today, I was putting together a list for a very niche cookbook that has to do with hunting.
And cooking.
Hunting, well, it's a cookbook, so.
Well, I know. So,
yeah. So anyway, very specialized. The person happens to live in a certain part of the country. So I knew one publisher off the top of my head that would be good for this book. That's it. Only one publisher. So I had to go and start doing my research.
So let's just be clear here. We're talking about almost exclusively independent publishers. And that's confusing because many people say publishing independently, which means self-publishing. Right. This is not that.
This is publishers that are not owned by a mega corporation. Yeah.
And some of them are very large and some of them are teeny, tiny.
Right. So the example that we often use is like W.W. Norton is an independent publisher, but a multi-million-dollar independent publisher.
Whereas Tree Frog Press is one guy in his mom's basement who really likes tree frogs.
We still haven't even established if there is a Tree Frog
Press. But I kind of like
you
that.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we do this? So here's a tip that almost no one would know unless you're in the book industry.
Right.
There is a distribution company called Publishers Group West, which distributes high-quality independent presses into bookstores all over the country. And in order to get a major distributor to distribute your publishing company, you have to have a certain number of books on the list. They have to be of a certain quality, all this kinds of things. So I go and look at who they distribute. And I start clicking on the links to the individual publishers to see who would be right for this book.
Right. Yeah, and let's be clear also. So if you want to get a book published by HarperCollins, you got to query the agent first.
Right.
And then they go after it. But you're going right to the publisher.
You're going right to the source.
And so that cuts out a whole middleman.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how hard it is to get an agent unless you marry one.
Yeah.
And you better have a good marriage.
Exactly.
So
next thing I did is I went to Amazon and I put in the search words that would get me to this book. So I put in hunting, cookbook, New England. Mm-hmm. First, I put in just hunting cookbook. Then I put in New England cookbook, now that I'm thinking about it.
So this whole thing of the search word, the keywords, this is so key.
Exactly.
Seriously, though, it is.
And
knowing how to identify those.
So I get a whole list of books, some of which make sense, some of which don't, some of which were perfect. I clicked on a book, and it turns out that it was published by a division of Random House. So that was no good. But then it said people bought this book, also bought. And then I found another book that was perfect, and it was published by a great independent press that specializes in cookbooks that are niche.
See how we dialed that down from out here to here.
So I went to their webpage, and then I found out that they are owned by a larger company, not a mega corporation, but a larger company. And this larger company has bought up so many of the independent publishers that do niche cookbooks.
Isn't that interesting?
And these companies individually are all over the country. It's not like you can only submit to one of them. They're totally separate the way they do their submissions. There were 4 publishers in this one company alone that were perfect for this author. Okay?
I'm just so glad that I married you. I really am. I cannot emphasize that enough.
There you go.
How sexy that is.
There you go.
That is sexy.
Then I put in New England independent publishers into Google.
Right.
And then I got a whole list. So first I get a publisher that only publishes things about Maine.
Right.
Well, that's no good.
Right.
Okay? But then I get a publisher that does all nonfiction books having to do with New England. So that was perfect. They had a couple cookbooks, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. I also get a publisher that I've heard of. A lot of these publishers I haven't heard of even, by the way. But I get
and she's been in the business for 25 years plus.
So then I get to a publisher that I've heard of that I know is really good. It looks really promising. And I go and find out they only do cookbooks that have the name of a place in them. And that's not what this cookbook was. So that was a false lead. Okay? But still helpful. Anyway, I got in 25 minutes, I got 10 publishers out of doing this kind of search. And then
the cool thing is, when these 10 publishers, you write these individualized queries to them.
Yeah.
And we have many videos. If you click right there, you'll see it. And you're going right to the person who's making the decision.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And one of my most widely publicized books when it came out was by a small independent publishing company, and it was because I just kept. Another way to do this, make a list, is just keep asking everybody. I just asked everybody I knew. And I asked this woman who in fact works for Publishers Group West.
By the way, also, while doing this research today, I came across this list that is Powell's Books, which is one of the greatest bookstores in America.
Yes.
They have their top 20 list of independent publishers that all are for works of literary fiction or literary narrative nonfiction. We're going to include that down below.
Where?
This video. Yeah. So we're going to put a link. So anybody that's writing literary fiction that's distracting.
Sorry.
Or literary narrative nonfiction, here's a starter list for you of great publishers.
And, there's so many great things about being with an independent publisher because you're not book number 3,847.
Yeah.
There's a good chance you're going to be the big spring book from your cool publisher, and you'll actually meet your publicist if they have one. And you'll get to, good chance you're going to get a really good editor who's going to help you with your book, which you might not even have.
I think we have a video about this.
By gumbo, is there anything we don't have a video of?
All right. That's our tip on compiling a list for an independent publisher. Yeah. Get those keywords together. Do research. Go to book distributors.
Absolutely.
Take a look at all the publishers they represent. Go to your local independent bookseller. Ask them who their favorite independent publisher is for this kind of category of book that you're writing. Go to your librarian. These are people that can help you put together these lists. Okay?
Okay.
See you at the bookstore.